Talking all things entertainment, this is Sherri Pullum in the studio with Dreamers Unite. Behind the voice with professional talker, Tina Zaremba. Hey Dreamers, and welcome to Dreamers Unite in the studio. That's right, we are back. We have a new podcast series, and here we talk about everything entertainment, everything. Because entertainment has so many different categories. And today we are going to focus on a voiceover and also how do you build your artistry as a business? So you're not categorized or telling yourself or other people telling you that you will be a starving artist. And this is the woman who's going to tell you a little bit more about it. Her name is Tina Zaremba. She is a resilient woman. She is a professional talker, a voiceover actor, a mentor, a professional actor, a mom, a wife, a dog owner. She brings home the bacon and fries it up in a pan. Yes. She is also a woman who has survived breast cancer, and she's not only survived, but she's thriving. And she is also my dear, dear longtime friend. She is no stranger to Dreamers Unite. She has been on here before. And I am so glad and thrilled, Tina, to have you back.
Thanks, Sherri. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let's just talk a little bit about voiceover first. And then we can jump into some of the new work you're doing, the new trainings, the new programs. As we said before, not going on that stereotype that you have to be a starving artist when you enter the entertainment industry, or that's your calling or your purpose. So you began your career as an actor. And you transitioned into voiceover. How did all that happen and come about?
So, oh my goodness, feels like it was a lifetime ago. In some ways it was. I moved to New York for acting decades ago and found myself waiting tables more than anything else. And started getting out of acting into the corporate world. And during that time, I met someone who was creative. She told me she was making the bulk of her living from voiceovers. And just sometimes I can be a little impulsive. Maybe it's the ADD in me. I want to do that. And the next thing I know, I'm having a demo made. So the 9/11 happened, and I'd spent quite a bit of money for me at that time on this voiceover demo. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've done this. A couple weeks went by. I ended up hearing from a top agent here in New York who thought that I was related to Karen Zaremba, who's this famous musical theater actress. And my last name is Zaremba. It's not Zaremba, but okay, I'll take it. He thought I was from the Midwest, talent, signed on with ICM, which is a pretty good agency here in New York. And I thought it was going to be just like acting. Well, no, I mean, you're acting in a box. It's acting on steroids. So I spent quite a bit of time crying and trying to figure it out. And then, I mean, it wasn't a linear process, as life isn't, right? It's not a straight line. But then finally started to get some traction in book work.
That is amazing. Yeah, and like you said, it's not a straight line. It's not linear. And I think people have to know that just because you try it the first time and it doesn't work, you have to, if it's something you want to do, then you have to keep going. You don't give up. You have an agent, you're represented. So how did you get your agent? Many people wonder, is the agent the way to go? Can you work without representation? So speak a little more about that.
Yeah, so this was 20 years ago. So at that time, you needed an agent to do voiceover, and you had to be in New York or LA or maybe Chicago. Nowadays, you don't necessarily need an agent because anyone and everyone can set up shop due to technology and call themselves a voiceover talent. So there's many ways to get work beyond having an agent for voiceovers.
What was your process in deciding what's the right fit for an agent? Did you have a process?
Girl, no. I mean, it's just like, you want to represent me? Okay. I didn't know what I was doing. And I think people should. This is kind of like dating, and we need to, as talent, start recognizing our value and what we bring to the table, and that you're not there with your hand out begging to be picked. You're there and you have something that you're contributing. And so it needs to be a mutually beneficial relationship. So interview them as much as they interview you.
Okay, there's a nugget I'm going to catch from you. Okay, Tina Zaremba, you have value. You have worth. Interview them, meaning your agent, maybe even a manager, because they need you as much as you need them. Maybe sometimes even more, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's another thing that I say to students that I coach or that I've done workshops with. An agent or a manager will take 10 to 20%. So then you're responsible for 90% to 80% of your career. Do not just think, oh, now that I've got an agent or a manager, I can sit back.
Another nugget. Okay, I'm taking that. Know your value. Boom. That's the first one. And then I'm going to do it over here. Don't sit back and relax. Boom. Take control of your own destiny. Take control of your own career. Thank you, Tina Zaremba. How do you take care of your voice? So the voice aspect that you hear, it's, water, making sure that, I call myself a professional talker. I'm cognizant as to how much I'm talking, and is it really necessary for me to be chiming in for no reason? I'll do warm-ups sometimes if I have a lot of copy that I'm doing for, say, e-learning. That said, I really do believe voiceovers is not so much the sound, it's what's underneath the sound, the intention. So yes, I take care of my voice, but for me, the most important thing is to take care of my spirit and my soul first. And then that comes second. So what type of training, and you spoke about, this voiceover ability is more than just acting. It's like you said, it's like acting on steroids, because you're, you don't have another actor present, you don't have a whole set and all of that. So what type of training did you actually do?
So, the acting training I had was through Strasberg, the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute. The training for voiceovers was an amalgamation of taking classes, really listening to commercials and different voiceover lanes that I wanted to work in, and becoming really present when I was doing an audition or a job. And what I mean by that is getting really clear with my nerves, with why I'm there, to what is my intention. I mean, the same process that we have in acting, only it's just quicker. So who am I talking to? Why am I talking to that person? How do I want them to feel?
Yeah. And you have to do all that with your voice. But you're still incorporating movement and physical and all of it. They just can't see you doing it. But in order to set that intention, right? Do you expressing yourself through, like I'm doing now, with body language and facial and animation and all of that, right?
Absolutely. And letting go of my voice has to sound a certain way, and being more focused on my intention, being cognizant of what's going through my body. And, because we can have nerves, and to lean into that and bring that to the work.
Yeah, I think that's great. How do you go about tackling a script? Because, it is that who, what, when, where, why. I always kind of immediately break that down. But how else do you go about tackling the script? How do you sort of mark up the script? What is your process? And maybe some other tips that might help someone potentially wanting to be in this industry, or somebody that's been in the industry and they can learn a few things from you too. You're never going to know everything.
Right. So I don't treat it precious anymore. I used to be so serious about it and like almost treating it like it was check off or I was doing brain surgery. So I don't do that so much anymore. Now I look at bringing more play and spontaneity. And the way that I bring that is by getting out of my head. So I can do wacky things like sing the whole copy as if I'm an opera singer and then go into it. What else? I think you remember you and I took acting classes together with Gene Lasco, and he would have us do movement exercises to our monologues. I'll do that. I'll bring some of what I know from the method of Lee Strasberg and bringing my own story to the work. So I'll have a conversation with my mom and I'll just pretend she's there and then go into the copy so that there's truth coming through.
That's so important, truth. And you're kind of known as sort of this warm, person next door, relatable, and all those things that you're saying, bringing your own truth, having your own experiences, all of that is important when you're doing the work. And you've certainly worked with a lot of top brands, national brands. How were you able to make that connection? Because again, there's so many different levels to attacking this work, right? You have to train, maybe get representation, maybe not. But then how do you transition to making a living so you can get clients that are going to pay you and pay you well?
So I think it depends on where you are in the world. Here in New York, we have Madison Avenue, and I was able to get an agent that brought me opportunities that were on the national level. That said, I know people that are in the Midwest that make a living in voiceovers doing a ton of e-learning or audiobooks. So consider where you are, what your interest is within voiceovers. Maybe someone wants to be doing promos. Maybe someone wants to be doing animation. And does your voice lend itself to that? And I just forgot your question.
No, you did all of it. You actually answered it perfectly. You did. So because I was going to go into the next thing of what would be the first step. It was really like, how do you go about getting those national clients and right? So talking about what's the first step if someone wants to get into the industry and say they're new, what is the first step they could take to becoming a voiceover artist? Or maybe just figuring out, do they even want to do it? Maybe they have an interest and once, they don't really know. They just want to explore it. How about that?
Yeah, so the first step would be to take a class. And I would run if someone tells you, oh, you have the voice and, just give me $2,500 and we'll make a demo and you're off to the race. No, that's not how it's going to be. I mean, I've been in this for 20 years and there are different seasons to when you work and when you don't work. And it's not a lottery ticket. Yeah. You do have to work and put in the time.
Yeah. Oh, you mean to tell me if I gave that $2,500, I'm not going to instantly become a superstar overnight?
Right.
Tina, don't. Yeah, right, baby. You never know. Don't bust any bubbles here. Possibilities, dreamers. Possibilities always await. What do you think that you'd like to do in voiceovers? What kind of impact would you like to make?
The impact I want to make is that whatever product or service I'm voicing, that the person on the other end who's hearing my voice in some way connects to the point that they're present and they lean in. We can identify throughout our life experiences, whether it was someone we know or someone on TV, a public figure, where we feel like we're being talked at. And so we lean away. I want people, when they hear me, that they're going to lean in.
I'm going to lean in.
Thank you, Sherri.
You're welcome. There's something else that you're doing. And your new kind of project, I'll say. You're still obviously actively doing voiceovers, but one of the things that you're passionate about and excited about, which I talked about in the beginning, is helping artists, helping not just the voiceover artists, but helping creatives, artists, to really use this artistry or their artistry as a business and start to develop a business mindset. So again, you don't have to be the starving artist. So talk about a little bit about these training programs that you've developed, and the work that you're doing.
Sure. So I've developed workshops that are right now targeted and being held on the college level for theater students, dance students, writers, to help flip the narrative that from being the starving artist to one of being the CEO of their career. And this was born out of not just looking back at my career and how I've been able to have a career for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Looking at the highs and the lows. Also, I teach one day a week at New York Film Academy here in New York. And I noticed that my students are still having the same challenges that I had and I experienced in my career early on, which is, I've got to have an agent. It's something outside of me that's going to bring me X. And I was, no, nothing outside of you. And I don't care if it's in the arts or somewhere else is going to make it happen.
Right.
And it's going to feel empty if that's what it is. So it's, how do we step into, we can be business owners. We can be empowered to own this career and make a living at it. If we're consistent, we take daily action and we change the narrative of, I can't be a business owner.
Yeah.
I'm bad with math. I'm bad with numbers. I don't like spreadsheets. We have this certain image in our head, I think, as artists, that a business owner is just buttoned up IBM type person in a cubicle. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right. Well, I love what you said. It's taking ownership of your career. As Oprah used to say, you know what? Own it. Own what you're doing. So that's important. Tina, you are giving us so much valuable information. We're going to move on to our next segment. And that is, you're going to be engaging with our audience and with our dreamers so they can actually ask you a question. So let's move to that next segment. And really and truly, I can't thank you enough for really, the advice that you're giving right now. I'm sure people pay for this, right? And just in this short period of time, you've dropped some nuggets. You've told us about your journey, and we appreciate it all. So you ready for a question?
Yeah.
All right.
Give it to me.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to that segment.
Hey guys, thanks for this opportunity. I'm really excited to be able to call in and ask my questions. I have 2 questions for you today. The first question is, how can we as artists and creatives battle, I'll call it sort of, the forces of anti-productivity, mental health issues like depression, anxiety, neurodivergency like ADHD or autism? How can we remain productive in the face of internal adversity? My second question is, how can artists and creatives access community resources and free resources, to combat privilege disparity, basically? How can folks who don't have the financial assets to heavily invest in getting a career up and running, how can they still go about creating a career for themselves?
2 great questions, Tina. Have at it.
Okay. So the first one is productivity when you're neurodiverse. Is that right? ADHD or autism or just mental health as well. Am I wrong? Okay.
Yes.
Woo! I have ADHD and am neurodiverse, so I completely connect to that. We have to let go of what productivity looks like in terms of what we think. And what I mean by that is, oh, I've got to do 80 outreaches a week, 80 auditions a week. Let's start with where we are, how we're feeling, and what are just 3 micro steps you could take today. And the first step needs to be something for yourself. You can't deny how you're feeling and just, lug your way through something. Otherwise, you're going to be pushing a boulder up a hill. So I would start with taking care of yourself first to get the productivity going, whatever that looks like, whether that's a walk outside or going to the gym or drinking water, just breathing and connecting to the moment, noticing the room you're in, noticing the physical sensations in your body versus pushing away from it. And then can you just give yourself 3 micro steps to take just for today? That's it. We're so hard on ourselves and we think that we have to do all of this stuff in one day. But if we do consistent daily action, I guarantee you will begin to see a shift in your career and in your life.
I love that, Tina. This is why I have her on Dreamers Unite. This is why you're on the show. Girl, you just dropped that. Yeah, breathing, taking care of yourself. The first thing is to look inward. How many of us even check in with ourselves in the morning? Do you do that? As I do. Just to check in and just ask yourself, how am I today? Because obviously, you can't be successful in any career if you're not internally happy or you're not internally well or you're not internally peaceful. Okay, and the second question. Which you kind of answered in this really, but yes.
Resources, is that correct, Sherri? I'm trying to. There are a lot of, wonderful free resources out there in terms of podcast, your show. Google is God to a certain degree. And reaching out to people that you admire and seeing if they will do a virtual coffee with you. Maybe there's a way for you to provide value for that individual that you admire, and they could become your mentor. Look for mentors.
Yeah. Are you interested in mentoring anybody? Would you like to share any of your information, Tina Zaremba?
Well, yeah. You can find me at Zaremba.com and email me through that. I do have a tribe that I've started where we are meeting and it's completely free and just talking about where we're at as artists and where we want to go. So that's, I do believe that it's important to pay it forward and to be of service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I will say and piggyback on, yes, this show right here, Dreamers Unite.
Yes.
Really check in. We're building a community, not just of dreamers, because, well, it is for dreamers, but it's everyone, really. I mean, whether you consider yourself a dreamer or not, and everyone is a dreamer. Nothing happens without first a dream. Nothing on this planet physical. Nothing, right? We wouldn't even be on this Zoom if it weren't for someone's vision. So help us build this community. Join here, learn, share, write in the chat. Certainly follow us, okay? And subscribe for sure. And again, I'm doing this show because I want to give people the resources, the information on how can you reach your dreams, how can you accomplish a goal. And this, even though we're talking entertainment, and the impact that you can make in entertainment, not only on your life, but someone else's life. I mean, it is really just a great way, even if you're not in this industry, to apply some of these principles. Like, Tina, what you just said, check in with yourself, breathe, put yourself first. That doesn't mean you have to be an entertainer to do that. Yeah. Thank you, Tina, so much. And we want to thank our caller for calling in. So we're going to move on to our last segment, and we got a little dream game for you. You up for it, Tina Zaremba? Dream
All
game.
right.
All right, dream game next. It's time to play our dream game with Tina. Okay, Tina. So this is really easy. I'm really just going to, it's really about you, and your dreams. So I'm going to start off with, what was your childhood dream?
My childhood dream was to be Wonder Woman.
I love it. And you are that.
Oh, thank you.
And you are that. Yeah. And what about Wonder Woman? I mean, you wanted to be Wonder Woman for a reason. Why?
Well, she embodied strength, and she was a superhero, power. And I don't mean power over people, but just the sense of power that she owned. What about you?
Yeah, listen, my childhood dream, I actually am living it. I literally always wanted to be an actor, and I think I was born that way. I didn't really talk about it. I was a little afraid because it was kind of that concept too of, being, although my mother loved the arts, I think it was just my own fear really personally of rejection. I think that's really what it was. So yeah, I feel like I really am, and impacting people, serving through my art. That's really what I wanted to do, even as a kid. I always loved people. I still do, genuinely so. I really always wanted to just serve through my gifts. And I feel like I'm living my dream. I am. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you for asking. Trying to flip it around on me, Tina. Yeah, I like it. What was your greatest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, Lord. Well, I'm middle-aged, so I've had some challenges throughout life. That's the deal, right? What we sign up for. Yeah. My most recent was, as you mentioned at the start of the show, that I went through breast cancer treatment and went through breast cancer. And so for me, the cancer didn't scare me. It was chemo, because I always heard cancer doesn't kill, chemo kills. That was challenging, and how I got through that was leaning into it and allowing what I was feeling. I couldn't run from it, right? I was too tired. And that was the path that I was choosing. All the information I had in front of me, and owning it, right? I didn't like it, but I'm going to own it and accept it. Yeah,
acceptance. I think the surrender of acceptance, and knowing that this is the reality of it and not running away. Then you can actually deal with anything head on. And you did just that. So the last question, drum roll, please. There you go. What do you have on your bucket list? What have you not done? What is your dream now? So we can all affirm, and because this is a place where we can affirm and claim it with you. And then you can come back and tell us how you lived this dream. So what do you want to do? What's a dream that you have not done yet for whatever reason that you'd like to accomplish? We're going to hold you accountable, Tina, before you say it. So give it just a little thought.
Yeah. Sherri, at this point, it's not something specific like, it would be great to be the voice of X. For me, it's to make an impact through my voice, whether it's through voiceovers, teaching, and mentoring on a larger scale. That's it.
That's a lot. That's a beautiful dream. We claim it, we affirm it, and we know it is so, and it is done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina, really. You want to give where people can catch you one more time before we head out of here?
Yes, TinaZaremba.com, Zaremba.
Tina, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your pearls of wisdom, all the golden nuggets caught, and shedding light on the voiceover industry, and not only just the voiceover industry, how we can own our own lives, whether you're an artist, a creative, or you're a person living and want to live in your purpose. So thank you for that. And dreamers, again, I'm going to ask that you help us build our community. So come on, join us, subscribe, follow us, like us, make a comment. I'm always interested in that. And last but not least, we also have our talk show for dreamers, Dreamers Unite with Sherri Pullum. So check it out. We're coming out with some new content, but go ahead on over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there as well. And you know that I am always rooting for you. I'm always pulling for you to rise and soar. I will see you again next time, right here on Dreamers Unite in the studio.